The Indiana Fever made the obvious and common sense move in adding Odyssey Sims on a hardship contract. Sims, the best available point guard on the market, on the open market, somebody who has experience throughout the league, will be prepared for any situation, has produced throughout her career. And the Fever have done pretty well picking up, players that were just on the Los Angeles Sparks. See the emergency hardship contract they had Ari McDonald on. Now, Sims needs to come in and fill in for Caitlin Clark until Caitlin Clark returns. And then they could use depth behind Caitlin Clark once Clark is back. Natasha Howard put out a post today praising the Fever for their fight, and at the end said, "See you soon, Cece." So you have to imagine Clark's return isn't too far away. And under the hardship rules, if the Fever don't bring in another player, they could keep Sims on the roster even after Clark is back. So this is a move that addresses the depth and hopefully helps keep the Fever afloat until the superstar is back at the helm. And, you look at it and you see those little quirks. Chloe Peterson of the Indy Star had that, and I want to make sure she gets credit for that. But the Fever technically have room for up to 2 hardship players. If Sims is the only one they sign, they don't need to release her once CC returns. If the Fever decide to sign another hardship player, they would need to release either Sims or the second hardship player once CC returns. So that means, Sims can be a part of this Fever team the remainder of the season, I believe, if I'm reading that interpretation of the rule correctly. That Natasha Howard post I referenced, this is what it said, which is, "We will always be fighting for each other, but we feel this fight is a little different with our girls out of the lineup. All the hard work they've put in over this season won't go unnoticed. Win or lose, just know we are fighting to the end for Sid, Cece, and Ari. See you soon, Cece." Now, of course, we don't know when Caitlin Clark is going to be back, but the Fever are reaching a pocket of the schedule where it would make sense for her to be able to ramp up. The next game is Tuesday against the Wings, but they don't play again until Friday after that. So a nice break in between those 2 games. And then another one I'm really circling on the calendar is August 22nd against the Minnesota Lynx, because they have a game on the 17th against the Sun and then not again until the 22nd. So there are windows there for Clark to ramp up her practice, get back on the floor, and be ready to return to actively playing for the team, because they still are in playoff contention and still have the ability to hoist a championship trophy at the end of the year. Now, Sims has actually spoken on Caitlin Clark in the past, and Fever fans will like what she had to say. This was when she was on the Wings.
I mean, everybody's been watching Caitlin. She's a great player. She's playing at a very high level, especially with her assists. Like, there's a lot of shots she turned down because she was looking for her teammates. I mean, that just speaks volume of how she is as a player. I don't know her as a person, but she's a great player. What she does, what she's been doing since game 1 till now. Got nothing but respect for her. She did her thing tonight. Just awesome all around.
So it seems like another high character ad for the Indiana Fever locker room, one filled with high character players. Sims, throughout her career, this is from the Fever press release, 11.2 points per game, 3-point assists, 2.5 rebounds. That's over 11 years. She's played for the Tulsa Shock, Dallas Wings, LA Sparks, Minnesota Lynx, Atlanta Dream, and Connecticut Sun. She made the All-Star team in 2019, All WNBA second team. She spent the first part of the 2025 season this year with the Sparks, where she averaged 9.8 points per game and 3-point assists per game in 11 games started. So, that's still productive. That's still productive. And you can look at the highlights and see what Sims is able to do. And this is with the Sparks, but she is able to get downhill. Little floater game there. That's against the Fever. Here's another look, navigating the screen, crossover to the basket. So you got to like that. And then a little outside shot. She shot the ball better from 3 recently than she has over her career. Just a 30 or just a 28% shooter from 3 over her career, I believe. But nonetheless, better returns in recent times. So maybe that bodes well for how she can fit in with the Indiana Fever. But overall, I think you have to like that move for the Fever as they attempt to keep their season afloat and continue to try to buy time until CC returns, not to mention the fact that Odyssey Sims could help them even then. One other note out of the WNBA today, the Lynx beat the Liberty even without Nafisa Collier. Notice no one is saying the Lynx are more dangerous without Nafisa Collier. That hasn't been a take that's been put into the universe. But a good fit with Dejanay Carrington there with the Lynx. You can't hate on that. Nothing you can say. Her chaotic energy fits in well in that Minnesota system where she's not relied upon to create offense. She's good rebounding guard, defense, all those things that Carrington brings to the table. Not to mention, they've got Kayla McBride, who's a hell of a hooper, and Courtney Williams, of course, who can get to that midi. And who would have thought the Liberty would collapse to the degree that they have in the absence of Breanna Stewart? Because Stewie, we all know what her resume says and what she's been able to accomplish throughout her career. But I don't believe people thought that the Liberty would collapse to the extent that they have without Stewart, where they just don't look like that championship contender and that juggernaut that everybody has talked about. They're 6.5 games back of Minnesota. Minnesota's ahead of the rest of the pack right now. The Fever are only a game or 2.5 games behind the Liberty, 2 games behind the Mercury and the Dream, just 2.5 games behind the New York Liberty. So all of those spots in the standings are up for grabs between 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, really up to 7 and 8. There's in the Sparks still in that mix too, right behind the Valkyries. It's the Mystics. A lot of teams bunched up there for the playoff positioning, but the Lynx would have to fall completely flat on their face to not be the number 1 seed. And that move for Dejanay Carrington only seems to enhance their chance at getting back to the finals and winning that championship that they lost to the Liberty, albeit controversially last year. But a big move for them in adding Dejanay Carrington. As far as the rest of how that shakes out, it depends on how these teams play. But that is why the Fever, can't give up on the season, like I've seen people say out there, which is just a bonkers take when you look at where they're positioned standings-wise and the fact that it appears Caitlin Clark is nearing a return. So you have to do everything you can to keep yourself afloat and keep your roster as strong as possible going forward. And that's where the Odyssey Sims move comes in. So there's still a lot of season left in the WNBA. Certainly nothing is settled. The Lynx are the clear favorite at the moment, but a bunch of teams in the mix, and the Indiana Fever have a chance to continue to chase that championship they set as a goal before the season. A lot of adversity has come their way, but they're still here on the other side of it. And part of the chase is making sure you take advantage of what you can, and that includes this hardship edition.